Welcome to Cre8tiverse, your home of innovation, creation, and inspiration. Welcome to this video. In the last class, we looked at basic tools, text, color fill, eyedropper, basic shapes, combining shapes, using a line to organize your layout. Today, we want to look at the layers panel, grouping, locking, and hiding layers. So let's talk about the layers panel. If there's any panel you will have to master is the layers panel. Now, if you've used Photoshop before, or you've used maybe Premiere Pro, I would love to. Okay, I don't want this to be. Let's ungroup this. It's called that in your Photoshop. When you bring in objects or you draw objects, they remain in their own layer, right? But in this software here, in our Adobe Illustrator, you seem to have just one layer here, right? But the good thing is when you click this here, you have everything you have drawn in their individual layers. So if you observe, when I click this, they are all in their individual layers. So that is something worthy of note. So I would say these are the groups. They're not group actually, but just like how you group layers in Photoshop, so you can see them as let's say the major layers, where we have our sub layers here. And the purpose of this is that if you're into animation, let's say a 2D animation, and you want to draw your puppet so that they can wave or something, it is here you organize your layers, where you maybe you could rename this as head. For example, you draw the head, the eyes and everything, the body, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? So if you want to add one, you come here, add another, you name. So when you name another layer, now look at the good thing. When you name another layer, what happens now is that whatever you draw, let's say I draw this, if you observe now, everything goes into that layer. So if you, this goes into this layer, which is this. Okay, so that can be quite confusing at first, but I think it's worth mastering in Adobe Illustrator. Let's give them different colors, right? So these are the major layers now here. So this controls all of the layers. When you want to access individual layers, you click this, you have access to them. Another thing worthy of note is the fact that when you click a layer, if you observe, the layer that is active turns, you will see something like a blue, like a blue square, signifying the layer that is active. If I click this, you can see it's now here. If I click this, I've selected this. If I click this, I've selected this. So the good thing is I can select from here, it moves directly. Or if I want to select this, I can come here and click that there. Okay, so I believe you understand how the layers panel works now. So it means that, imagine me having three. Let's say I click all of this and where's my properties panel? Let's say I decide to, okay. Now when I want to draw, it's worth of note that any layer that is active, now these are like your main layers, then these are your sub layers present in your main layer. So I call this main one. There's something you have to do is to name your layers. I call it main 2. Okay, so if I draw something now, let's say I write let's say food. What occurs is that this food goes into the layer that is active, which is this one I stick with blue. Now it's worth of note that some people think that because when I click this now, you see that this seems to be selected. There's a difference between the layer that is selected and the layer that is active. I come again. There's a difference between the layer selected and the layer that is active. Now this layer is selected, but this layer with the blue is active. So it means that even though I just click this and I type another, let's say I type yes, I think the sizes are too big. Let's just reduce. Right? this goes into this layer here. Let's see something together. Let's see where this layer goes into. This goes into this layer, right? So in a nutshell, when you can just double click here to activate what the layer where you want to put in your should I say items, okay? Because organizing your work in your Adobe Illustrator is very important. So let's talk about something else. Another thing we have to take note of is the fact that these icons here, now because this is the main layer, when you click it, all the layers, all the sub layers in that layer will turn off. So this is for toggling off and on, right? So here you can toggle them one by one if you want. That can fly. Is that okay? So next, you can lock layer. What does locking layer mean? Locking layer means, okay, let's say this guy is causing I don't want to select it by mistake, okay, or let's say this guy was to be a background and I don't want to select a background by mistake. All I need to do is to lock it. So of course I want to still see this, but I don't want to select it by mistake. All I need to do is to come here, of course selected, double click. If it's not selected, I don't want to turn it off. When I double click this, when I just click it once, it's locked. But lock means that I cannot select it. But have I lost everything? No. There's something I can still do. And what will I do? All I can do is just come here and double click and click once, and then I can select. So with this, now we've looked at the eye icon there, which is for visibility. I've explained the fact that we have main layers, and inside the main layers we have our sub layers. I've explained the fact that the way to recognize the layer is active is by looking at these parts and look for where you have the blue tick. So it means that the active layer is not in this main one, it's in main 2. Let's see again. Okay, no one is active, so you can just double click, just click once. Now, and also observe something, all layers here, if you look at it carefully, in this main 1 they are blue. All layers in main 2 are what? In main 1, sorry, all layers in main 1, whenever they're activated, they are it's indicated with a red, and all here is indicated with a blue. Let's say I decide to add one more, and I draw, let's say just random shapes. I have this, sorry, it's too big, just random shapes. Now if you observe, here it's green. Now why they do this is because you can use that to differentiate. Okay, if I'm seeing a green here, I can call that, let's call this main 3. Is that okay? I can drag this down. All right, so in main 1, whenever it's active, you can check that from here. It's a red, it's a blue, and it's a green. It means if I add another one, okay, I think it's majorly those 3 colors, so there could be repetition, but at least you might not have a situation where you have to let me just check something there. You might not have a situation where you might have to have 3 main layers upward, but it's for you to know. And of course, just in case you've forgotten, this is where I create a new layer from. I'm talking about the main layer. This is where I create them from. This is where I create new sub layer. So if I click this, what happens is that I have a sub layer that is empty. Okay, is that okay? And when I click this, I have a main layer, which is like clicking this, which is at the main level. Is that okay? So I think that's good. Clipping mask, we'll look at clipping mask later in the next video. So I think that should do for this video. So I think with this you understand the layers panel, you know how to navigate your way in the layers panel. See you in the next video. Thank you.